Okay, and this is whoever says it. And then this is 15. So that's I'm not going to what I like that. Well, I remember when I was where they in Noble.
Let me do anything in here, because I look like a chop me in the middle.
Absolutely.
All right. Get that done?
Yeah.
So, that's it. Cheese off. I ain't bored that
Okay.
If I'm about to do something that looks like it's still cool, stop everybody in the room. I don't care what train goes on. Hey man, how you doing? You okay? Glad to hear it. All right. Come back. Yeah, let me have those. Did you take anything? That's fine. He did in a hotel somewhere, didn't he? Oh, he's White House? She's in the White House. Where did you work? He's director of intergovernmental affairs. Oh, really? I'll get some sleep off. I did. Oh, yeah. Man, I cannot all the time. Then I saw a place to go. I was up there. I think I worked there. Okay. I was in out. Y'all probably in therapy together. But I get on one another now.
I voted. Oh, I did.
And if you were a half an hour early, I would have hit the last night. Good man. Because I was still very as well. I drove work. No, you gotta go.
I'll be right back.
Hey, how you doing? Good seeing you, man. I'm doing well.
Dad.
And I think that's why she's pushing. You got it. Oh, I'm
On the same. Congratulations.
After you
What? Party.
Yeah.
Okay, and we will start with a couple of board approvals that need to take place in the full board session. The first one we would like to bring to the full board's attention, and I will need a motion and a second to, accept the compensation package that was discussed for President Abdullah. And in addition to approving the compensation package, also authorizing me as director to, execute any documents or contractual amendments in accordance with the compensation that was approved. If I can have a first.
So move.
Second. Okay, we got a first and a second to approve the compensation package as presented, as well as giving me authority to execute any documents and contractual amendments in accordance with that salary package. May I have a roll call, please? I don't have to have a roll call. Okay, we don't need a roll call. Jeff said we don't need a roll call. Okay, thank you very much. Second approval that we need is our minutes. Okay, y'all work with me first meeting. All right, we had the motion, we had the second, but I needed to carry. Can I get, everyone who is in agreement with this motion to say yes?
Yes.
Any nays?
Who made the motion?
Mr. Sessom, I believe, made the motion. Who seconded?
And I second.
Okay, and Ms. Kingston seconded. Are there any nays? Okay, thank you. We have a unanimous vote on that motion. Thank you very much. All right, the second motion that I need is acceptance of our minutes from April the 23rd. It was our full board meeting, a copy of which should have been in your diligent board for your review. I need a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved, Pam Curry.
So move, Ms. Curry, second.
Second, Bill Murray.
Okay, second, Bill Murray. So we have a first and a second to accept the minutes from our April 23rd full board meeting. All who are in agreement with this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we have unanimous consent on the minutes. The next board approval is a resolution to name a classroom in the Jesse Bowling Hall in honor of Dr. Jonah McKee. President Abdullah, will you be making that presentation or
I will.
presenting it?
I will. So for those who may not be familiar with Dr. McKee, and we call him doctor because we just did him an honorary doctorate at commencement, our last commencement. But he is over 90 years old and was the first graduate of Virginia State to return as a professor of military science. A lot of the success, I mean, you can read the entire resolution. I believe that many of you have it on your table. But the real thing is that he was really instrumental in Virginia State's incredible capacity to graduate senior military officers. Some believe that he himself would have been a general had he not decided that he would have rather been at Virginia State University and to serve and to bring others into that fold. So General Biles is one of our most outstanding alums as a general, four-star general. He came and served, he was in ROTC under Dr. Jonah McKee. So we kind of thought of as really the father of the Trojan Warrior Battalion. Mr. Eddie Moore, who's a former president, the 12th president of Virginia State University, actually recommended to me that both of us donate funds to name a classroom after him in the ROTC building, and I agreed. We would have normally waited to bring this in September, but Ms. Hall, in her excellent wisdom, decided that it may be good to try to do this at the first football game, September 4th, and so we are bringing it to you all to approve. Thank you very much, Madam Director.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Any questions on the resolution? Comments?
Comment, excellent choice.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. I totally concur as well. Yes, I had the opportunity. I didn't realize it, but as old as I am, I guess he is that old. He was around. When I was around, I'm sure he is. Oh, wow. But yeah, excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
I've known him more than 30 years.
Right? Well, we want won't talk about how many years it's been running. Okay, good. All right, so can we have a motion to accept this resolution for the naming of, a classroom in the Jesse Bolden Hall in honor of Dr. Jonah McKee?
Bill Murray, so moved.
Can you second?
Second.
And,
second.
okay, second. So we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the naming of the classroom. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we have an unanimous acceptance of that resolution. We'll now move quickly to our reports and updates on the campus reopening, the COVID-19 update. Dr. Palm.
Okay, as Dr. Palm comes up, as you all know, the COVID-19 update and reopening plan is a work in progress every day. Many of you know now that the governor has issued a mandate that mandates the vaccine for all state employees, which is something that happened today. And of course, we are now in the process of working that into our plan. I want to thank Dr. Palm, Dr. Corley was not here, and everyone on campus was participating in this for their wonderful work to try to make sure that we do our best to keep our campus safe. Dr. Palm?
Thank you, Dr. Abdullah, Madam Rector, and all the board members. Good afternoon. As Dr. Abdullah indicated, that this is really a work in progress with regards to reopening. But I want to really take it to a high level of some of the things that we have in place. Some of this is familiar territory for us, some of it isn't. And so, as Dr. Abdullah mentioned, we have Dr. Corley, who's over our task force and our reopening plan as well. I just want to talk about a few of the areas today: repopulation, monitoring, containment, as well as shutdown if need be. This slide really captures it all. On day one, when we return back, there's a number of different things that we want to make sure that we have in place. We want to have mandatory testing, and we're going to actually test all our students as they return back on day one. We're also going to have vaccinations available for our students as they return back, as Dr. Abdullah mentioned before, even with the governor mentioning that the mandate for vaccinations, we're going to have that ready to go for our students as well as our staff as we move forward. Also, we want to make sure that we have we have the opportunity to make sure that we are actually taking care of all the needs of our students. Mental health is one of the major ones. And so we're ramping up not only our counseling center, but also the nursing and the health center as well to make sure that we can cover all the different things that will occur this semester. So we want to make sure that we have that in order. As I mentioned before, that we'll have the vaccination clinic set up and ready to move forward with reference to our students coming back. We're also going to have monthly surveillance for the vaccinated individuals, both students as well as faculty. And for those who are not vaccinated, and we're working through some of the details right now, we're going to actually test them twice a week for the non-vaccinated. Our plan is to have 100% of our faculty and students back on campus vaccinated. Also, we're looking at a portal to upload many of the different documents to demonstrate that a faculty member or a student has the vaccine. In addition, we're also going to provide incentives for our students as well as our faculty members to make sure that they get the vaccine. Now, if you already have the vaccine, you'll actually receive that incentive already. But if you don't have it and you get it upon arrival back to campus, you'll also get the actual incentive. And again, as I mentioned before, this is a shared responsibility. We have the University COVID response team. I call this Ground Zero. Dr. Corley is over this response team, but it's actually all the stakeholders across campus that are part of this response team. And then, again, they monitor the campus. They provide policy for the administration to look at. They provide information with regard to if someone wants to have an event. They run it through this particular committee to make sure that it's going to be a safe event. We also have the reopening task force, which, again, Dr. Chabano, as well as our student government, as well as our staff, is a part of this reopening task force, and they're looking at all their particular areas with regards to how this impacts them as well. And then we also have a COVID care team in which if somebody comes down with COVID-19, that we provide them the care package and all the different support that they need in order to nurse them back to health. And of course, we have external partners. Of course, the Virginia Department of Health has played a very important part in making sure that our campus is safe, but also Bond Secures also plays a very important part. Of course, the COVID-19 response team charge, again, I won't go through all this, but it's really to officially address all the COVID-19 safety issues and concerns. Also provides recommendations to Dr. Abdul as well as the President's staff and Executive Committee. Coordinate weekly COVID-19 projects and initiatives, as well as communicating information internally and externally on behalf of the university regarding COVID-19. And of course, we're aligning our approach up with the CDC key prevention strategies. Again, there's a number of different key prevention strategies that they have in place with testing and also maintaining a healthy environment. Jane Harris has done a wonderful job with making sure that increased ventilation and cleaning is taking place not only in all the buildings, but also in the classrooms, in between classes as well. And so we really want to thank Jane Harris for all the work that she's doing behind the scenes that you don't see that's occurring. Also, there's going to be mandatory mask wearing. Also, we want to also do a lot of work with educating our students as well as our faculty and staff with regards to safety. Again, this is almost the same thing with regards to the entry. Also, down here in the corner, we have two student housing facilities that we've taken offline to deal with isolation as well as with regards to the quarantine piece of the puzzle. But we know that our students will come down with COVID-19. We know that it's going to happen. We want to make sure that we are isolating them from the general population. But for contact tracing, we also want to isolate or quarantine those individuals who they may have been in contact with, but they haven't come down with the symptoms. Of course, the facilities, again, Jane Harris providing the PPE and welcome kits. They have a full-time custodial staff for the student health services. Those particular areas, of course, have to be cleaned more often than the regular areas, and so they actually have a full-time custodial staff that is actually doing that. As far as the building infrastructure, they've done a number of different things to make sure that they're maintaining the air quality and filtration for our particular buildings. And again, you don't see this, but they have done a wonderful job. They put a lot of work in, and Jane, I want to thank you in public for doing all those different things. Repopulation of campus, of course, education campaign, moving appointments to coordinate around student testing. So again, we're going to coordinate students' time when they arrive on campus. Again, they'll not only get their test, but they'll also have the opportunity to get their immunization if they don't have it, but also get an opportunity to get their vaccine if they want to as well. Dr. Abdul also has provided an opportunity for the whole family to get the vaccine while they're here as well. So we're excited about that as well. So we've ramped up the staff, we're ramping up the nursing, the healthcare professionals to make sure that happens. Mr. Harris is working with us to get more of the testing kits in on time to make sure that we can not only test but also provide the vaccine. Yes.
Things. First, do we have any sense of what percent of our students, do we ask them what percent are vaccinated?
No, we do not. And our feeling is somewhat low. But we may be pleasantly surprised. So part of this communication that should go out in a day or two is going to not only ask them to upload their information with regard to the vaccine, if they've taken it or not, but also give us an idea of who hasn't taken it as well. So we have a lot of work to do in a short period of time, but also we have some realistic timelines in which we can achieve that information from the student and make sure that it's, give them enough time to get information to us.
And my second was, do we still have the site open for vaccinations here?
No, we shut that down. Right during graduation, we shut down that site. However, we're partnering with Walgreens right now to actually provide the vaccine for our students. So I believe we're going to be in Daniel's gym providing that vaccine, but also we have the actual mobile units also, which we'll be able to provide the vaccine for our students. So we're excited about that, as well as for our faculty and staff. Yes.
Dr. Paul, should I then conclude that we have the capability today to ask students electronically to upload their vaccine cards and then to receive that information in a accurate manner to determine the number of populations? Do we have that capability?
You must have been in our conversation.
Right.
We were talking about the same thing. We're close.
You didn't turn the mic off?
You were, I think Eldon was like, okay, the question is going to come up. So thank you very much for that. We are working on that right now. Mr. Harris and IT is working to help us get us to where we need to be. We have everything ready to go, but we just want to make sure it's testing is correct and it works. So that is truly the goal, and as I said, you know, every day there's a new challenge. We're at that point right now where we want to make sure that we can actually grab that information, not only for the students, but also for the faculty and staff. So thank you very much. Excellent question. You were in the room. Let's see here. Yeah, so anyway, this was a part of the presentation I presented before also. Monitoring health conditions, of course, we'll have daily health screening. I don't know if when you came in, there's a kiosk down there, you can check your temperature. So again, we'll make sure that the students are making sure that they are healthy, reinforcing cleaning and sanitizing standard protocols. And of course, we've done a great job with the contact tracing last semester. One of the things that, and Dr. Abdul continually reminds us that, you know, every case that we had last semester was truly a learning experience. There was an outbreak on the football team, Peggy Davis, you know, when it first happened, it was true nervousness. But as we worked through the process and worked with the contact tracing, we were able to manage the whole process. So we feel like going into this fall, we're in a better place than we were last fall. Are we going to have challenges? Yes. Are there going to be outbreaks? Yes. How we handle those moving forward is going to be very important. So we want to make sure that we have the personnel in place, but also communication across campus, as well as the contact tracing. So I'm pretty confident in my team. We still are doing some temporary hires to make sure we build up the workforce, security, all those different things around this whole process. Of course, containment, isolation, and quarantine will be in Byrd and Whiting Hall. Of course, we'll do the contact tracing, adequate space and meal service for those who may contract COVID-19, and also counseling and medical care for isolated students. As I mentioned before, the mental health of our students, we want to make sure that we are providing that in a very, very efficient and effective way. And we're seeing more cases as we speak right now, so we want to make sure we ramp up that staff as well. And of course, the fall 2020 calendar, of course, a student testing August 13th through the 21st, as well as, I didn't have up here, as well as the vaccine given. Classes start on August 23rd. We will have a fall break on October 11th and 12th. Last day of classes, again, pending, you know, we still have the ability to convert to remote instruction if we have to. So we'll be November 30th and final exams December 7th. So I would say this is the calendar, but it's tentative depending on how well we do with COVID-19 as well as the state. And I'll open up for any questions.
Dr. Pond, this is Charlie Hill. That last date of spring commencement on the last week in December, help me understand. Is that leftover?
That's a typo. Good catch. That should be fall commencement.
Okay, okay. I'm feeling better. I thought I missed the whole season.
No. Good catch. And so we're planning on having another exciting commencement. So I think that was caught up in our spring commencement. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Explain December.
Yeah, well, just an observation. You know, one of the speaking from an alumni of an HBCU, one of the things that has been somewhat alarming has been the unwillingness, understanding the issues of HBCUs to mandate vaccination. And I understand the concern that an upfront mandate could drive away enrollment, and you don't control whether or not your competitors are doing that. But I think particularly young kids, and even some adults, unfortunately, I don't think people are really grasping what we're doing. We got about 40 million people, maybe more, who are not vaccinated. The easiest stuff is done. These 40 million people do not get vaccinated. We may have to start this whole vaccination process over again. Hospitalizations are up about 100% across the country. The death rate is up substantially. The percentage of people who are on ventilators is up substantially. And I know it's a difficult decision for universities, particularly HBCUs, because frankly, to be honest about it, a disproportionate number of people of color for damaged reasons. I mean, I've heard so many crazy comments, expressed with vigor. Like I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Diction and vigor, yeah.
It's unbelievable. And so I saw that there's a vaccination component of that. I hope that it is an aggressive vaccination component. Because if we don't get these folks vaccinated, we're not gonna beat this thing. You'll see another variant at some point, and it will be, sufficient in its power to evade the vaccine that we do. And once that happens, you know, we are in uncharted territory, with potential devastating outcomes. So I hope, that when you get, our young people on campus, you spend a lot of time, don't just, do some outreach handouts and stuff on vaccination. I mean, have some programs, have some credible messages come in to speak to them. Have some people present horror stories. And you can get them off the internet just by clicking on, you know, vaccine regrets. And I've seen so many of these stories. I've seen some of the people that I even work with, you know, lose family members. I've lost coworkers. And it's just so avoidable. And I think young people, more than anything else, they need to hear, you know, what can happen. You know, nationwide, 12% of the COVID vaccinations now are among young people. That was unheard of last year during the heart of the pandemic, but that number's going to get larger. So I just hope that you have an aggressive program that is multi-component, that brings in credible messages, and that frankly scares them. Because the facts should scare you if you're not vaccinated. They really should. And there's a community, there's a taking care of your community piece that these kids and the adults who are not getting vaccinated are really just thumbing their nose at. And it's unfortunate for young kids who can't get vaccinated, can't vaccinate people who are under 12. Right? And you know, you're putting young kids at the risk of dying. So I just hope y'all do something really, really aggressive and strong.
Thank you for that. We've had multiple conversations trying to navigate this whole process, and you get to know it. They keep you a little bit of a tough cookie to crack. One of the things that Dr. Bill and the leadership team continually talks about is that if we get them here, we can educate. Not only with incentives, but also with the literature, and have their peers, as well as faculty members, also biology wanting to help out with regards to communicating not only with faculty and staff, but also our students, to really get the message out. One thing we do know is that, you know, there's other opportunities to wave carrots in front of them with different events. If you're vaccinated, you can get to, you can't get to, but we want to really, really put the full court press on these students, as well as their parents to educate in regards to vaccine and how important it is for the university to survive. So, again, I thank you for your comments, but also, you're right, you come across folks who are, their conviction is so deep, they have no reason why not to get the vaccine. So,
I'm going to build on something my colleague Wayne said. You know, I was reading about how as they're wheeling you into the ICU to a tracheotomy or intubate you, crack open your windpipe, people say, can I get the vaccine now? Doctor, you got to tell them it's too late. Looking around the room, those are turning tonight are two of the older folks here. You may recall back in a less kind and more stern era, we were taught to drive by PE coaches who would first show us splatter on the asphalt or slaughter on the highway, or these driver ed films. Those of you who are younger have no idea what I'm talking about. People my age remember. And that still sticks with you, and that's why I really emphasize what Wayne said about these vaccine stories. This is not one for dental education. This is life and death stuff.
I would just like to add my voice to the expressions. The FDA is going to be moving these vaccines in the coming weeks.
that's right.
It may dovetail with back to school, and therefore maybe that's the marker to use. The other is there's a high cost to the university to be dealing with containment.
Right.
Maybe think of some incentives, economic incentives,
Right.
whereby if you have a vaccine card, maybe our system can show when you have a student ID that there's a vaccinated student or faculty member, they get a discount, whether, you know, in different locations, but, I agree.
You must have been in our meeting again. I mean, we were talking about that with the Trojan card, and again, students swiping in and will know that they have the vaccine. Incentives of $500 if they have the vaccine. Different incentives for also faculty staff, but also.
Paranasal paraneedles is a non-training.
Not necessarily, but it's just that, some jurisdictions are using payments,
Yes,
and that's a state public.
correct.
I like the idea of having service discounts.
That's right.
Which in this case is a public good.
Right.
It's coming out, but it's less than the cost of containment.
That's right.
And, treatment.
That's right. Thank you very much. Questions? Well, you all are right in the trenches with us, and as you can see, some of our challenges, we truly appreciate it.
Thanks, Alderman. The SGA, because, you know, we're all about the influencers nowadays. Are our SGA officers all on board, all
Yes.
vaccinated, ready to hit social media?
I had a conversation with Cameron Gray yesterday. Also, I talked to the faculty senate, SGA as well as the staff senate. So with regards to us mandating the vaccine, everybody's on board. We'll go around to those various entities and have some more conversations with them. And Cameron is on board. He's actually given us recommendations and ideas on how to get students on board with free parking and different things like that. So I think it's going to be truly a university effort to get us there. We're not there yet. We have a few things to put in place, but we're working very hard.
Fraternities and sororities also.
Can you please use your mic? They say they can't hear on the other side of the room.
Yeah, fraternities and sororities, yeah. So there's another opportunity to get them engaged with the community service and making sure they're pushing the message as well. So we're going to put everything out there to make sure we're a vaccinated university. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Palm. We will now have a report and update on enrollment management from Dr. Alexis Walter.
As she comes up, of course, enrollment is something as we've spoken about a couple of times. That is important for us, it's a priority for the institution, and I know, of course, a priority for the Board of Visitors. So we want to make sure that even as we continue to work and develop more concrete plans, we stay transparent and we continue to present what's happening right now in those areas. And so Dr. Alexis Brooks Walter currently serves as the Interim Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management and Academic Services. I know she's going to present a little about what's happening now and some of the things that she has discovered in her work as an Interim Assistant Vice Provost.
Good afternoon. So, thank you for having me today. As Dr. Abdullah said, I just want to talk briefly about our enrollment, our current enrollment, and this is a restructuring, so I just want to reiterate what is now included in enrollment management, because I think it's an important avenue, strategic decision that the institution has looked at and combined both admissions and retention initiatives so that we can look at both who we bring in and making sure we onboard them, we retain them, and we help them reach completion, whatever that degree is. So under my, in this division or department still includes ACE, the Academic Center for Excellence. That includes advisement. This is for freshmen of students that have less than 30 credits. And then we also have within ACE strategic learning. Strategic learning includes academic coaching, peer tutoring, peer coaching, online learning, and first-year experience. And so that is that semester-long course that really helps a student acclimate to campus. In addition, we also will include orientation or visitation as part of this realignment. That is headed by Latrice Walden. So our visitation and orientation are also part of this. We include the new initiative of VCAN, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But that is for students that are Pell eligible and that live 25 miles within campus. They can receive free tuition, room and board. And then we have three divisions or departments within admissions. And so if I can get Ms. Diggs and Ms. Gordon, Mr. Gordon and Mr. Super to come up real quick, I'd like to let them introduce themselves, because certainly it is about the people and the leadership that we have within the department. And so Mr. Super is graduate studies, and so I'll meet him halfway.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Suber. I've been with Virginia State since 2007, and I'm currently the Director of Graduate Admissions. I'm very proud to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Angela Diggs. I've been at Virginia State as an employee since 2007 as well, and I serve as the Director of Undergraduate Admissions, first-time freshmen.
Good afternoon, I'm Artis Gordon. I'm Director of the newly created Transfer Center, and I've been at Virginia State for 4 months.
All right, so I certainly don't want to take credit for all of the hard work that they have done. It's been a phenomenal year, considering that there has been no in-person recruitment. There's been no travel, no out-of-state travel. We've been working with 2 recruiters, and so when I show the numbers, I think this team has done a phenomenal job, and so I just want to make sure that they got their due credit. But before I talk about the numbers, our last group that's under this is financial aid. Obviously, you got to pay for school, and so it's very important to be able to connect those that we're bringing in and making sure we can provide the resources, or at least make them aware of the resources that are available to pay for college. So here's the numbers that were there. Oh, sorry, one more thing. We talked about enrollment management. I talked about strategic enrollment management, and there is a difference. Enrollment management, when it came about in the 70s or so, the term was coined, it really talked about admissions. And we are beyond admissions. We are looking strategically at how we align our fiscal resources, our economic resources, our co-curricular, our academic, how we align those together so that we can move and support the strategic plan and the mission of the institution so that we have fiscal success and increased numbers if that's what we're looking for, or stability. So it really is a data-driven process. And so as I talk today, I will actually give you some numbers, because I think it's really important to see where we are and where we're going and how we can make some changes. So today, it is aligned with the strategic plan. I talked about strategic, and we really hit with priority 1, 2, and 3. And so everything we do, and I really want to talk about 1.2, and implement a comprehensive enrollment and marketing and management plan. That's my first task. That's what I'm on every day, trying to figure out what is our enrollment management, which includes, and I will talk about those different parts. So onboarding, retention, recruitment, as well as completion. All right, so last week, so we do Mondays, and you all got the board report, and so these are where we were last week. I can actually give you a little update for where we are as of this week. But our number of freshmen admits, and so this gives you a 3-year gauge. So we have 19, 20, and 21, so I'm looking at the last column. So the number of admits we had at that point were 6,031. This is a little low. It was represents a little delay in the contract that we have, that we use a third party to help us with our admission process. So our number of applications was a little low, and it's indicated there. Currently, we have 1628 students engaged. This represents students that have verbally said they want to come to BSU. And then our total deposits last week was 941. So these numbers today are about 25 higher, so about 968, 969 of the number of deposits for freshmen. It represents a slight decrease from last year, but again, recruiting in COVID is difficult. We anticipate being above where we were last year. So this shows you the number of deposits, but our number of first-time freshmen was 882. So there was a drop-off. I think Dr. Abdullah has mentioned it before. When we went completely online, some of our students disengaged. We don't anticipate that this year, prayerfully, and we anticipate that we'll be slightly higher than we were last year as far as our undergraduate first-time freshmen. The bottom is our transfer students. With the new transfer center, we've been really able to get a significant number of transfer students engaged. This number, I think today, is 208. So we are almost double, really close to what we were this time last year. So we're really excited about the growth that we've seen in the transfer students. We always know transfer students are traditionally do not require as much academic support. So it's very easy when you can get a junior in. They know what they're doing, they know what classes they need, and they can get in and finish and complete. So we're very excited about getting our transfer numbers up. And this is our graduate numbers. This represents, yes. Questions? Yes.
Thank you. Just go back to the prior slide. So the drop-off between 21 and 20 is anywhere from 20 to 30%. Deposits, about 20%. Engagement, about 30%. Admits, about 25%. Rough numbers. And that's fairly significant, but we understand the circumstance. My question is, have we been able to determine, or is it too early to determine the reason for the drop-off? And I'm really thinking not about 21, I'm looking to 22 to see if there's any remedial or corrective action or, you know, circumstances that we can, any idea why that 20 to 30% drop-off in those numbers?
I can hazard some, yes. So one thing with our processing, so we use EAB or Royale as a third party to help us recruit. Consequently, our contract with them was not signed initially with the fall, and so our number of applications were not available until later. So right from the beginning, we had a more difficult time. I'm going to talk about this later, but since you brought it up, I'll bring it up now. We have a CRM system or a way that we manage applications. It is labor intensive to say the least. One of the examples I can give is that many of our students use the Black Common application. And so there's about 18,000 applications that come in. When they complete that, like you upload your transcript, you're looking at about 12,000. For us, it is a manual process to read application and transcript. And so when you have 12,000 of them, it is not a very efficient process. Consequently, the admissions department determined they would focus on those that had indicated they were interested in Virginia State. So on the application, you can say, out of the HBCUs, which one do you want? And there was about 3,500 of those. We were only able to complete applications on about 22 and render a decision. It's a very slow process. So one of the things I recommended and we're looking forward to is a new system that automates this. There is not an upload and a manual. We don't have enough evaluators to do that. And so with that, we can look at all 12,000 BCA applications and render decisions on those, not just the ones that said PSU, because it has been shown that there are others that are in that pipeline and they didn't necessarily pick PSU, but they're interested in the HBCU experience. And so that gives us an opportunity to kind of make way into that population.
And therefore, the subsequent year, we should see a much
I certainly,
better, numbers.
Right.
Linking and processing.
absolutely.
Okay.
So our number of applications would go up, and certainly our number of admits would go up. And it's then upon us to sell the issue.
Okay.
So at least we're starting with a larger pool. Yes.
How much for the system and when could we have got?
The system, the one we're getting now is in purchasing
Okay.
now.
When will it come out?
Very shortly.
As a normal, what, 6 months?
Oh, no. We
You can't commit it.
no. Well, it is within purchasing. We have been working with this vendor. They have set up the URL. They have, built our application. They have done much of the stuff so that when it gets through purchasing, and it already has gone to Viva and been approved, once all that's through, we can go live. And they said like 2 weeks, so we just need to get this checked.
My question, how long has this company been out there doing this work? Why don't we just get this?
So the current system we use now is Recruit. It is a very robust system, but it has enough glitches in it that it makes simple things very hard.
Okay.
And so this system that we're using, or that we have moved to, is customized. It aligns and brings all the Black Common apps in for us. They have almost had a market with many of the HBCUs. They have all the HBCUs in North Carolina, they have Harrison-Stowe, a lot of HBCUs, so they know a lot about our system. They have the analytics, they understand, and so our system that we have is just extra. And so we're looking for this customization, and we really hope that we'll get it ready within the next 3 weeks so we can use it for our fall applications.
Can I just make another comment too? The one thing I'll call out is the students are still recovering from the impact of COVID. And so I think we are expecting to see that enrollment will continue to be down this year. And who knows what next year is going to look like. So I want to give you and your team some credit that the colleges are recovering from that. And then I think as we start to think about how we can recruit more students, or whatever the new world of recruiting starts to look like, it'll also be important to help students with understanding how they can pay for college, because that's one of the reasons that enrollment is down, is students were struggling before, and they're really struggling now. And the good news is there are a lot of companies and organizations like UNCF and Thurgood that are coming out with education and tools to help students think about paying for college, and so that should also be a focus of ours when we recruit the students, is also helping them think about how they pay for it.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing up, and I will mention along that line, the number of FAFSA completions is down tremendously this year. So we already know many of our students, so they are not completing the FAFSA, and even what is a higher of non-completion are students that are at Title I schools. So again, we already know our students and our population, and they are first of all, I think they're a little bit delayed in their admission process this year. So I am hopeful and prayerful that we will be higher than where we were last year. Feel pretty confident of that. I'd love to be at 1,100. I don't think I'm going to make that, but they are slower. They weren't in school. They didn't see the counselors. It's a much different type of atmosphere this year. And so, we're having students like call today and go like, I want to pay my deposit. I'm coming. Can I get housing? And that's today. So they are still coming in, and I anticipate these numbers will go up some. Graduate programs, our graduate programs actually were higher last year than previous, which is also typical of what happened in the United States as well. Graduate programs were up, undergraduate programs were down. We followed that suit. We anticipate, our number at admits last week was 140. We anticipate being really close to where we were last year. for both our graduates and our doctoral programs. So, that's great. All right, so as we talk about what we're going to do and that strategic initiative that really needs an enrollment management plan, there's a couple of things that are key tenets within this enrollment management plan. One, that every applicant has access to the resources and an opportunity to success. Making sure that our communication, and one of the things that the new program will do is help us with communication. It has texting capabilities, it has email capabilities, it has a response, so it's open and back, and so that's one of the important things. It's access and opportunity. We want to create a clear, comprehensive, cohesive onboarding of students. We should know that orientation, first-year experience, all of those things are important for helping the student get acclimated and making sure that they succeed when they get here. Advisement, key role in all of those processes. And then strategic, enrollment, graduation rate, all of those we hope to go up per the strategic plan. So how does that look for us? I look at this in 4 different ways. The first is recruitment, so I will talk about some recruitment initiatives. The second is onboarding, that is after they have deposited and then have 15 credits. The second is retention, this is fall to fall, and the last one is completion. So, what I will present here does not necessarily represent everything, it represents new initiatives. So first is our increased diversity. So if we want to be an institution of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000, we're going to have to diversify. And one of the populations we want to look to first is our Latinx population. And so our new director of VCAN and Strategic Initiatives is Dr. Coleman, and if you can come up real quick and talk about that. Introduce yourself.
Buenas tardes, good afternoon, saludos. My name is Dr. Julie Coleman. I am, as Dr. Brooks Walter has mentioned, the new director for VCAN and Strategic Initiatives. I'm excited. I come from student success in different aspects in different institutions. And student success is really one of my passions. I am a first-generation Latina. I was born in Colombia in South America. I'm an only child, first-generation everything. And unfortunately, my father, passed out from college, so I understand what it means to go through that college experience, through undergrad, through master's. With my own daughters now, I'm looking at them like, wow, right? And so it is a passion for me with this program to get to know the students, to figure out what those barriers are, how can we get them connected, how can I have conversations with them so they can have their social capital in itself increase, they can have a place, a family. My goal is to make VCAN a signature experience for them here at Virginia State University. So it is going to take a lot of one-stop shop, what you need, whatever it is. If I don't have the answer, I'll find it for you. And so that is my goal. We need them to also understand their role, their importance here. We also want them to feel integrated. We want them to feel connected to the community as well. And how can they find their way to give back to the community? So a lot of cultural emergence as to how they play a very special place here at Virginia State. So yeah, I'm excited about this experience and taking our students to a new level. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the things that's also important is that we also have recently hired within the last couple months a bilingual recruiter as well. So we really hope to diversify our HBCUs so that we can grow. We also have initiated a partnership with a company that is a subsidiary of ETS. ETS makes TOEFL. So TOEFL is the test, standardized test everybody takes if English is your second language. So they are going to recruit for us and identify students that VSU is a great fit. We are already in a wonderful location with the beach and the mountains and just outside of DC. So we hope to use those avenues to kind of recruit and diversify our population. We had a space at Fort Lee. We're not using it anymore, but Fort Lee is around the corner, and the military certainly is a wonderful avenue. We have programs specifically for them. One of them is a Homeland Security Front certificate that we just started this week out of social work. We have our project management, we have some logistic degrees, and so we want to market those to our military. I want to increase our enrollment of applicants, and I've already talked about the CRM, so we'll talk, I won't go over that again. We want to make sure we're partnering, so our local high schools, once we can get back into our local high schools, we look forward to having our FAFSA workshops. We're looking forward to recruiting. We want to bring the local high schools on campus each week. So we'll go to Matoka and we'll have a Matoka day at VSU, pick them up in a bus, bring them on campus, provide a t-shirt and lunch, and help them start their FAFSA right there on the spot. And so if they want to apply, and so we want to do this with all the surrounding areas. We want to recruit some high-performing students as well. Our current GPA, our highest tier, is a 3.75. We really would like to get some students that have a 4.2, a 4.3. Students that have taken, right now, it's 3 AP or dual enrollment classes. We really want somebody that has 5 or 6 dual enrollment classes. We know if you bring scholars, you can change the whole culture. And so we really want to target this. We want to bring an honors day, a shadow day, bring these students on campus, really roll out the carpet, provide some initiatives beyond just scholarships. It might be a stipend, it might be an internship, it might be a computer, it might be a study abroad, but really making a strong effort to get some our really high-performing students here. So, one of the other things is to reclaim our students that have stopped out. So I mentioned data, so I'll give you some data. Within the last 3 years, 1,760 students were enrolled and quit. So they have not finished. But we have that information to reach out to them. What is even more compelling to me is that 198 of them had more than 90 credits when they quit. So this is just within the last 3 years. So almost 200 students are just a semester away from completion. So really targeting these students to bring them in. We've identified them. Now we need to make sure we've talked about debt reduction programs, or not just waiving fees, but allowing them to work off if they have balances, so we can get these students in and they can graduate. We already talked about the transfer center. Mr. Gordon is doing a phenomenal job. Again, we're over 200 students that have deposited this year. We look to, and now we have a recruiter and an evaluator for the transfer center. We look for those numbers to skyrocket. We're gonna target some schools, and I'm excited about this because that's our Chief Executive Officer is going to become our Chief Recruitment Officer. And Dr. Abdullah and his sidekick or partner, Mr. Rodney Hall, are going to be a partnership and go out to schools. We've already targeted some places that we want them to go. One of these, and actually it's Prince George, Maryland, has a huge number of students that come to VSU, DC, and Kings County, New York. These places are sending us an abundance of students. Not quite sure why. I know for Prince George, the assistant superintendent and 2 district officers are VSU alums, but we're gonna be in Bowie every week. All of them should come right here. So we're going to Bowie High School, we're going to Prince George High School, but these, we already have a pipeline here. I just want to bust it open and bring everybody. One of the other things we look forward to is our unofficial recruiters. So these are not, when I say this, like, It's the people that are on the ground, and really that's like our teachers. So we want to partner with our College of Education. When they graduate, we want those students, alums, to be our recruiters. We're sending them out. You need a pennant. Here's a flag. Here's my number. Anybody in your class, please call me. You know where we are and what the system's like, so please get here, and we want to open those doors. One of the other things is we have a master's degree in counselor ed. When they come to campus, and we already host them here, but they stay in the academy. They don't ever really cross over to admissions. We want those counselors to learn more about BSU. We want to send them home with, make sure you bring your students back here. So some things are happening, and it's just really about putting them together, bringing them together, so that we can have more people that are telling our story. Consequently, we can get more students that are asking about BSU. We know if we bring them to campus, they are inclined to apply and want to come. Because it really is about getting them here. Lastly, very briefly, our graduate students do, our graduate program does a phenomenal job, but they've been a little bit of a stepchild. And I appreciate and want the graduate program, and we need, actually, it's low-hanging fruit. That is the thing that can grow the easiest within our school. And so I really want to help develop. First is to get them a recruiter. So we want to hire a graduate recruiter so we can grow our graduate numbers. So that would be first and foremost. All right, so once we get recruitment, we want to talk about onboarding, and I'll do this a little bit quicker. Let's see, orientation's a huge thing. We have both online and in person. We want to make sure that's seamless. When you get on campus, one of the most important things is taking care of business. All that other stuff is fun, but you need to take care of business, and so we'll make sure orientation looks like that. And then one of the things about onboarding is communities. And there are programs that actually allow communities to develop. One of those is Wiser. I look to develop stuff like that. That means our current students and our interested students can communicate and ask questions. Retention. One of the things I'll skip down a little bit and really just talk about is retention initiatives. One of the new retention initiatives this year is our living learning communities. We had 2, we now have 6. So we have computer engineering, manufacturing engineering, computer science, education, honors, first generation, and medical school. They are all living and learning together. So they have linked classes and they live in the same community. They have an RA that is within their major. They have service engagement or service learning. So they have an activity by which they're going to communicate and work outside of class. So we're really growing this, and it's an excitement program. I think that will help a lot with retention. Let me go to completion real quick. And this is really helping the students that are here. Really looking at 75 hours, making sure they have an audit, making sure that we look at our classes and offer classes that reflect a student that may have had some hiccups, i.e., they may need a job by their junior year. So all of our classes can't be offered at 10 and 2 o'clock. And so offering some online classes, some evening classes, some Saturday classes to make sure that our students can complete their degree, especially when their schedules may change a little bit. One of the other things is a Check and Connect program. This is with our sophomores. We often have a sophomore slump. We want to make sure we re-engage our sophomores early. This is especially important this year because many of our freshmen were not here last year. So when the sophomores are coming on board, we're having tours for them. We have a special party for them. We have T-shirts that they didn't get last year, so we can do a group picture. So we're really making sure that our sophomores can re-engage quickly. So I have talked a lot about enrollment in our initiatives. I really just want to make sure you have the numbers on VCAN as well. So we have, last year, awarded 31 students VCAN. Our goal was 150, so we were a little low, but that just shows what a wonderful job it has happened this year. And we've already awarded 281 students VCAN for this fall class, and I think there's an additional 39 that were awarded this week. So we really are going to look for this program to grow, and under Dr. Coleman's leadership, really hope it becomes a signature program that we just recruit, retain, and graduate. When we have these local students, they can stay here, live here, give back to this economy. We're really excited about the potential of this program. And very briefly, I will just give some highlights on advisement because that is part of our program. We were virtual this year. So we conducted 2,852 appointments virtually. This included our freshmen, so 945 freshmen. So we did quite a bit of appointments. We sent out almost 90,000 texts. So there was a lot of communication going out to students regarding registration, classes, tutoring, workshops, that sort of thing. We use an early alert system to identify students that are at risk, not at risk. Students that may be having challenges and need additional assistance so that they can succeed. And so we don't want to use a deficit model, And so with that said, we had over 1,600 had an early alert. The first fall semester, almost 2,000 had an early alert. All of these students are contacted by phone and email, and we send an update about a resource. We also follow up with a professor to see if anything has changed. As of now, or last week, it had over 9,000 schedules. We have about 80 left to complete in the system, so we're about ready for our freshmen to arrive next week, so that's exciting. Financial aid, boy, they're a busy place. Oh, I'm gonna skip that for a second. Financial aid, one of the new things they did this year was Find Aid Friday, really about financial literacy, but a lot of it about taking care of business. So every other Friday, they had a workshop at noon. New students were all invited to really talk about FAFSA, verification, completing their loans, all of that information, trying to teach them early the importance about financial literacy and paying for college. We will very shortly roll out a text box or Autobot in our website. So you'll see a little person, we call him Troy, and he'll, hi, may I help you? And you can text in what you want. So that is in the pilot stage, and we'll roll out full production really soon. Financial aid has had lots of appointments, lots of emails, but we've awarded millions of dollars for the next upcoming year. So we're looking forward to clearing everybody soon. So I think that's it. Questions?
Curry?
Yes.
Thank you so much for the presentation, the energy that you and your team are bringing to this. I know it's been in the works for a minute, and it takes a minute to get everything to come together. Clearly, you're getting there, and I really look forward to what all this will yield. Although the transfer students aren't a huge population, I've been harping on them for years, and so I'm really pleased to see that trajectory improving. I think you're hitting it from all sides, and I congratulate the whole team.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we have our capital outlay project update report, Ms. Jane Harris.
As she comes up, I'd like to say that I think this is one that we've really been excited about doing.
Yes.
We didn't get a chance to do it last year. Jane's been working on so many incredible things and keeping our campus, making our campus a beautiful place. We've got a lot of resources that she is really pouring into our infrastructure. So I'm excited about her presentation. Go get her, Ms. Harris.
Ms. Markey?
Yes. Oh, okay, well, dodge a bullet, I will not sing. Notice that I won't. So here's an opening slide, capital updates. This was a drone flyover, very indicative of our beautiful campus. You'll notice that the southern portion of campus is smaller buildings. It's the historic part, smaller, closer together. We've expanded to the north and to the west and east, and they're bigger and spread out. I'm not going to read all of this. I've heard there's something called death by slide, and I want you to go down. This is a project that we're super interested in. I'm starting this presentation with the approved project. Yes. This project is approved. It will be our biggest campus building. We call it the Academic Commons. It will involve the demolition of both Harris Hall and Daniel Gym. I'm excited about it because those are our two poorest facilities condition academic buildings on campus. And we are working on that. The last occupants of that building moved yesterday, and we have asked for our 3-week notification to begin the asbestos abatement, and we're ready to go. We're looking for a summer 2024 occupancy date. Wow. It's about $108 million, a big project, most expensive build, and the biggest build. Part of that is this little building that is important to our art and design area, and it will be a standalone 2,000 square foot ceramic slab next to Fauntleroy. That's what it looks like from the air. You were a bird. I am not, but if I were, that's what it would look like. Harris Hall is that blue part, and we'll be wrapping the Fountain of Knowledge with this great big build. We try to tie all of the projects to our strategic plan, our master plan, and that's what you see in the slides. I think you have that presentation. So Tuesday of this week, we held the first, I didn't mean to, sorry. You have a hand signal, and I just did it first. We held our first small business outreach event over there at the Multipurpose Center. We had about 140 registered. You didn't have to attend, but you did have to register, and of that, about half showed up, and we got them registered as potential subcontractors on this project. We'll have a lot more of those. Next one will be in November. We invited BCU to join us and some of our service providers on campus. So, nice event.
Excuse me, over here.
Right.
We're looking everywhere but your way.
Okay.
This slide really grabbed me as I was going through on the pre-read. This looks to me to be fairly innovative.
You hope so?
And something has to be done to sort of crack into the subcontractors to get somebody other than just the really big guys participating. And I'm proud of Skanska for partnering with this, and really excited to see this.
Thank you, thank you. We are too, and we actually, Tanya Hall with Oak, actually sent that out in our alumni newsletter, and we put it on the facilities Twitter page. I know everybody, just plans their life around the facilities Twitter page. But we hope that these get bigger and bigger. We did learn that they're better attended later in the day because small businesses in the construction industry are out working during the day. So the next one will probably be in the evening.
So another exciting project, another new building that we will be beginning soon. We're actually, several of you are on the selection committee for the design professional for this project. And it's a new admissions building. It'll be located in lot 27, we call it lot 27. It's that large half-moon parking lot that our commuters use in front of the stadium complex. It's two buildings in one with a big tunnel in between them so we can continue to traverse back and forth to the stadium complex. And half of that building will be occupied by institutional advancement and the other half will be by admissions. It's currently valued at about $21 million, but that changes over time with the pool process. MC Carter Annex, federally funded project. They're actually starting to break ground next week. It's a small research facility for a college band. It'll have an outdoor classroom, which we think is cool. This is a project that I've been wanting for a long time. The next three projects are infrastructure projects. They're important to me because I'm always tracking that facility's condition. And I will say that with our approved projects, once they're completed, it's improved by half. So we moved half of our deferred maintenance. This is an umbrella project that's a lot of things. It's cameras, it's access control, it's perimeter fencing. It's also steam plant improvements to help our utility structure. Technology infrastructure, my husband, Hubert Harris.
He's talking Dr. Paul.
Yeah, he knows one. He knows. That is a project. I actually got the idea to ask for it at a board meeting because I heard Mr. Harris talking about resources and found out that somebody had been successful asking for a project like this, George Mason. So we're doing it too, and it will replace all the technology in 105 classrooms, gives the opportunity to give a consistent one-time platform for all of our AV, and also gives us an opportunity to correct some deficiencies in our network. I'm excited about that. And in the network room, I'm sorry, I'm running out of air because I'm trying to go fast because I know you're trying to get waterproofing. Those of you in the historic area that have basements know why I'm doing this. This is one that we added in the last session. They asked for projects that were COVID related, and we have an umbrella project, $34 million to replace a lot of air conditioning systems and heating systems on campus, buildings that don't have the kind of ventilation, filtration, or humidity control that you need to control pandemics.
So, just Pam again.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Just, so everything you've talked about, as you stood up, is funded, it's happening.
Yes.
Correct?
Everyone.
I just wanted to sort of emphasize that because that's huge for the institution and more going on than I can ever recall. So, I mean, it's just transformational in the next 3 years. Amazing.
It is, and it's such an improvement to overall space quality on this campus, which is what I'm pushing all the time about a combined construction value at this moment in time of about $210 million. A nice capital program. So this is what we're going to be asking for in the next session. that will be happening, in January. We want another $211, but we didn't set a target and then just divide it up on spreadsheet. We have actual projects.
It's worth pausing on that point. Mr. President, wearing your hat of the Council of Presidents, your college presidents can sometimes be stuck in the state is terrible and never gives us any money, which on the operating side of the budget is usually true, not true the last 2 years. Sometimes the presidents pass by how generous the state has been on the capital outlay side, and all you need to do to appreciate that is spend a couple minutes with your private college colleagues, and they will share with you their perspective on that. And this is not applicable here. There's a couple of your colleges with hospitals who also sort of pass by the very substantial indigent care help that the state gives. So you may want to transition some of your colleagues more into thank you mode. It's, you know, you still want to make good and appropriate ask, but I think the senior members of the legislature are very proud of what they've done for hire in the last few years, and reinforcing that would be a good sort of thing. And you're going to have to prod some of your colleagues to get out of their older talking points.
Yes, I would concur. One of the things that I said more than a few times is that Virginia, on its worst day, supports higher education well. It appreciates higher education in a way that other states don't appreciate.
And Purdue, Chairman Fern and Chairman Howell work really, really hard.
And I think, I told you, in a bad year, we don't get what we want. In many states, in a bad year, you get a big cut, and it is a big difference. So I concur, and we are always saying our thanks for Virginia State. We'll try to do that as the council presidents also.
I do have a question. Looks like we're gonna have a parking.
Sorry.
What about alternative parking opportunities? We're gonna have a problem with parking at some point in time. We already have one. Is there a parking deck somewhere in our future or something like that?
We are at the point where each of these projects, if they displace parking, we provide parking to replace it. So,
Somewhere else?
Somewhere else, on
Okay.
campus. Undeveloped land, we have a lot of undeveloped land, between the quad and the multipurpose center, sort of on the perimeter of campus. There has been a plan for a parking deck, and actually the sunken parking area that runs behind the police station is actually an old rail bed from the Seaboard Coastline Railroad. They deeded it to the university when they closed down that line. It's depressed, and there was a plan, and we actually created construction drawings for it over a decade ago to put a one-level parking deck there. So 2 levels. We've never done that because we don't have a commuter parking policy exactly. A student that can come to campus that lives off campus, they can come here and they can park all over the place during the day. So a single person might have 3 or 4 parking spaces during the day. So we don't have designated commuter lots. Counts, if you compare the number of student parking spaces with the number of decals that are sold, there's always a lot more spaces than there are decals. So we have to define the problem, I think, first. That would be a sizable investment on the part of the university using university funds. So we do look at it, the council. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Does the allocation for infrastructure technology cover the next 2 to 3 years, or is this just one piece of a much larger tech ask that the university has? And I recognize that we're coming from a deficit position.
And I think Mr. Harris would be better to answer that. But, so part of this project, the technology project that you see there, is for consulting services that allows us to create a master plan. And, technology, of course, changes all the time. And, its useful life is much shorter than a building. But, so we will get those services with that project. But 105 classrooms next year is not the 105 classrooms that you're going to build 5 years ago, probably 2 years ago. So, it'll be up to our technology services people to choose life.
I see. So this is just to fund the master plan that's needed to upgrade technology to be.
Not exactly. It's creating the master plan. It's also addressing current issues in the network rooms that we have across campus. It's addressing underground utilities and creating hopefully a redundant loop around campus. And it is redesignating hubs. So there are, for instance, there is a fiber hub in the building that we want to get out of, and that would be relocated to another location, and that building needs to merge. So it's a combination of both.
May I ask, how has your incumbent electric utility deal? On the other, since you stand right next to me, for your undergrounding of utilities, how is the power company?
Well, this is for fiber and data.
Oh, just fiber and data?
Yes,
Fine.
yes.
Fair enough.
But on the other side, I watched the underground utilities for power, natural gas, steam, storm, all of that.
Let me ask more generally, has Dominion been good to deal with for you all?
Better.
Good.
Better.
But if we need
Yeah.
to improve, please keep us apprised.
Yeah, they have been better when I first got
We'll
here.
talk offline more.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
You should accomplish it pretty quick.
We have a redundant switch, we still
No,
have.
better is not good enough, so.
Probably should have found out who's representing the client. You're with the menu, you know.
Yes.
I want to know. I'm not representing a minute, I'm here on Virginia State.
Yeah.
So these are our new ads, and we want another 211 million in order of priority here for the university. We've got the Bolt Center for Leadership, Social Equity, and Engagement. We'll talk a little bit about that. As our number one, we did ask for that in 2020. We were unsuccessful. We're asking for it again with a different twist. We want to put a addition on the front of Johnson Memorial Library. We want to create an information commons there. We don't want the kind of library where you go shh all the time, but we want a technologically advanced library. That's also the location for our data center today. We want to put that addition on. We want to move the people that are currently at Trinkle Hall to allow us a opportunity to renovate that as residence hall. And I'll tell you why later in a bit. We're going to ask for a physical plant annex. We're going to ask to renovate Virginia Hall. We're going to ask for 3 more infrastructure projects, sort of umbrella projects, stormwater, roofing, and accessibility, elevators, restrooms, ADA, and we want to renovate Davis Hall.
If I can add a little. This particular, I'm glad you're here. Many of you know who have been on campus, we don't have a traditional student union at Virginia State University. Foster Hall is a building that has a lot of history. We love Foster Hall, but there's still kind of a need for more. It's important to note that the Bolt building, the Bolt Center for Leadership, Social Equity, and Engagement, is not a student union. It's definitely not a student union. But we anticipate being a multi-purpose space that will be able to do some things that we can't currently do on campus. Something just like that. Thank you.
And this year, we have been asked to evaluate our portfolio through the lens of COVID. And what did you learn from a year of dealing with COVID? Each one of these projects has a component of that. The work for the Bolt Center has a lot to do with space quality, though we have enough space according to the state of Virginia. The space quality is not where it should be, and the classrooms are very old. They're fixed. They don't have the flexibility that you need to go between disciplines and to make rooms bigger and smaller on command. So that's where we're headed with that one. Those of you that went on the tour today kind of saw where we want that to be. It also creates a core, a campus core, campus green, center of campus. That's where you see those people standing in this paper. That's kind of what it looks like on the inside, and you see those really flexible spaces. They can retract the seating and have a great big room with chairs. They can bring them out there and do performances. It can be used for any lectures, performances, anything. This is that addition to JML that I talked about. JML is Johnson Memorial Library. And that's kind of the way it would look if you were a bird flying over. You have the Bolt building facing the library, a new front door to the library, and forming a campus green with Foster Hall. Physical plant annex. This is in response to an executive order to eliminate single-use plastics throughout the Commonwealth, given us a timeline, and to introduce composting and to reduce waste. And we need a place to do that. And that would be near the physical plant. That would be a place we could bring food waste from the cafeterias and compost it, carry it out to the farm for use. We also want to introduce water bottle fill stations to replace water fountains. We would give students a water bottle so that they wouldn't be buying bottled water. And then we want to introduce reverse vending. All of this will have to be measured. So we would have near a vending machine, a reverse vending machine that a student could swipe, and receive credit on their account. It would also keep track of what we were recycling. Renovate Virginia Hall. If you've met there, you know why we're asking for that. It's a space quality issue and a safety issue. I just lost my assistant.
No, I'm right here. I can get you.
Want to talk. Thank you. Sorry for that. Infrastructure, campus-wide roofing, I want that because the individual roof replacements really hit our maintenance reserve funding really hard. So if we had an umbrella project that would free up that funding to Davis Hall, space quality and technology. That's why we want that. There are also big changes in the music curriculum. They want to infuse technology into that curriculum, and this would allow us to do recording one time. I want to do it. This is why we had the program that we had last time and the program that we're asking. Facilities condition, comparison, that chart up there, but you see our current facilities condition index. That's a measurement of deferred maintenance divided by replacement value. So as you increase the replacement value and you decrease the deferred maintenance, your space quality gets much better. We're currently about 25% overall in the E&G portfolio. With the approved projects, we cut that in half. If we get all of our 2022, 2024 requests approved and we do those projects, you're down below 10%, which is good. That's where we want to be. UVA's at 8. I keep track of theirs too. I'm just going to flip these really, really fast. On the facility side, Fall Line Trail, Dr. Widiak asked me about that earlier. That is a trail that is part of the East Coast Greenway from Maine to the Keys. And Fall Line Trail goes from Ashland to Petersburg. It's a big initiative and part of the governor and part of VDOT. And we are currently participating in a regional grant application with the infrastructure bill and the federal government. We're also competing for a RAISE grant with Department of Transportation. They have $1 billion. We'd like just a little bit of that. We have a grant to build an outdoor fitness park along Fleets Branch. That's in the works. From Home Depot. We also won an Environmental Excellence Award for our stream restoration project near this building. And part of that was creating some innovative videos to engage the students during COVID. We were excited about that. Really fast, non-capital projects. These are some things that we're doing through the generosity of my boss, Kevin, and Dr. Abdullah, and really build excitement from the students to get them at the recruitment tool. Big letters. It seems like a good thing. We put up that first set right behind that bench seat yesterday. And it's all over social media. People are walking by and having a picture taken. Really cool thing. We'll be putting up the second set of them on Tuesday. A freestanding one. Appomattox Overlook, you'll get a chance to take a look at that tomorrow. It's the scene of a fire, and we turned it into an overlook. It's really integral to the Fall Line Trail. We'll be doing some shade structures down there, some planters, some seating. You see a picture of 2 young men that came 3 times for a single, they were required to come to one student event, community service event. They came 3 times because they built those benches and picnic tables this spring. Outdoor basketball courts. We are working on renovating the courts themselves and creating a viewing area so that everybody doesn't stay inside of there and get hit by basketballs and people jumping and everything. That's underway right now, waiting to get on the schedule. We're creating an amphitheater at Foster Hall. Everything will be movable so that when we do our campus greening, we can go to another location. Same sort of shade structure there. Running track and artificial turf field, working on that, working on some construction drawings that will go out to bid this fall. Replacing the digital signage and scoreboards on River Road. They're very dated. They're not very responsive in placing new content. We're going to be updating those. Exterior lighting LED at Foster Hall to create dramatic effects during events and create excitement. We're working on a Title III project to put an innovation center at the post office. We're working on a new space for the post office to move at the library, and the upstairs of the post office will be a faculty conference. student union, Foster Hall in the basement. We're currently working right now to add some amenities, to update the finishes, and to make it a more welcoming place for those students. The kind of things they want to do, a gaming area, more color changing LED lights, do whatever people do when they sit down and play those games. Televisions and games. And we're what? Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, I'm really excited, Ms. Harris. This is one of the reports I was waiting to see. I'm just really excited about seeing a lot of the construction on campus. You know, I mean, everything I think that we do is so interrelated. You know, we talk about enrollment. I think it excites kids when they come on a campus to see new buildings going up and construction. Kids always interested in the technology and the news, and so this excites me, and I think it's gonna have a tremendous positive impact on enrollment, but excited to see this happening around campus. The alumni love to see it as well, and that will encourage them to also contribute. Because when they see where the dollars are going, you know, not that they can't see it, you know how that goes. They see something new and they're more, you know, incentivized to give something, so real pleased with this report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I have a comment, Madam Rector. Ms. Harris, again, I am refreshed and excited to see what you're working on, and I've had a chance to see it for several years, and you're making considerable progress, which means that Virginia State is making considerable progress. So we thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you so much. You're very kind. And I want to thank Dr. Abdullah, who makes sure that we understand that we're thinking about the future and that we change our thinking to positive can-do as opposed to I can't do anything. Oh, I don't have money. We do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. President Abdullah, did you have any other comments?
I do not. I thank you for your patience. I think these are 3 presentations that you wanted, and I'm proud of my colleagues for the work that they're doing here this year.
Absolutely, I concur. Do we have any legal counsel updates or any reports or anything we need to?
We know.
Okay, well, then the closing announcements before we adjourn is we will reconvene tomorrow morning. There's a slight change to the agenda. Breakfast will be at 8 here at Gateway. At 8:40, we're going to get on the tour bus because we're going to have the renaming of 4 of our buildings. So all board members are encouraged and invited to participate in the renaming. And then we will return here by 10, where we will start our retreat. The retreat on tomorrow has qualified for the continuing education for those of us who have been on the board for more than 2 years. You know, yes, yay. So your attendance will qualify you for your continuing education. For those of you who are new board members, I believe they have a 2-day session for you that you will be attending in Richmond. So with that, are there any other announcements? Then we are adjourned until tomorrow morning.
Thank you, ma'am.